All right, let's jump right in. So picture this. The year is 1991. The Soviet Union is collapsing. The whole world is basically holding its breath. But, in these quiet corners of university computer labs, something completely different is happening. Something new is being born. This is the story of one single pivotal year where all that global chaos was just the background music for the very humble beginnings of the online communities we pretty much take for granted. And what's so fascinating is that the people who were building these new connections, they knew it was a big deal. I mean, as the old world was coming apart at the seams, they had this really strong feeling, just like Erling Leosa said, that they were witnessing something historic. They weren't just connecting computers, they were building the future. So to really get why this online stuff was so revolutionary, we first have to remember just how much turmoil there was in the offline world. It was a lot. 1991 was just relentless. It kicks off with Soviet tanks rolling into Lithuania and the start of the Gulf War. Then by March, the Warsaw Pact, the military alliance that defined the Cold War for Eastern Europe, it's just gone. And then by the end of the year, the Soviet Union itself, the whole thing, is officially dissolved. The world map was literally being redrawn in real time. And this quote just nails the feeling of that time. Morten Flate Paulsen, who we're going to hear more about, he remembers seeing young soldiers heading off to the Gulf War in the same airport where college kids were leaving for spring break in Cancun. It was just an era of these incredibly sharp, kind of surreal contrasts. Okay, so in this chaotic world, how did you even talk to people? How did you stay in touch? Because before the web, before social media, connecting across borders was a genuine challenge. Let's just take a second to remember what communication was actually like back then. The peak of high-tech in your house might have been one of these, a cordless phone. And yeah, it was amazing. You could walk around the kitchen while you were talking. But calling another country? Oof, that was a serious luxury. Most people couldn't afford to do that for more than a couple of minutes. For pretty much everything else, there was snail mail. Think about it. Paying bills meant writing a check and sticking it in an envelope. If you wanted some kind of niche news, like a computer newspaper from back home in Norway, you just had to wait for it to physically cross the ocean. The speed of information was just, slow. And if you were really desperate for a live connection to home, you'd be huddled over a shortwave radio, fiddling with the dial, just trying to catch a crackly, fading broadcast from thousands of miles away. That was global communication for most of us. But against that backdrop, people were trying to build new kinds of bridges. And one of the biggest efforts was born directly from the collapse of the Iron Curtain. This quote really gets to the heart of it. As all those old divisions were crumbling, there was this urgent feeling, this call to action, to just open up every single channel of communication that had been sealed shut for decades. It was an invitation that, as Leoso puts it, you just couldn't refuse. And that invitation led to this right here, EDEN, the European Distance Education Network. It was officially established in Prague in 1991, and its mission, for the time, was totally radical: to create a single, unified network for educators across the entire continent, East and West. And what's really cool is when you look at who was involved. You've got leaders from Norway, Portugal, the UK, but right there with them from Hungary, which had just come out from behind the Iron Curtain. This wasn't just some symbolic thing. It was a real, practical collaboration happening across that old divide, with people like Erling Lakonos and Tomas Lajos working side by side to build something totally new. So, at the exact same time this big, formal organization was taking shape, there was a more, let's call it grassroots, tech-driven project that was also connecting the world, one email at a time. And that project was DEOS, the Distance Education Online Symposium. It was started by Morten Flate Paulsen at Penn State, and it was really a passion project. The goal was super simple, but also really ambitious. Use the clunky old email networks that existed to create a global conversation for educators. So how do you join this global conversation? Well, forget about clicking a subscribe button. Oh no, you had to open up a text-only email client, send a message to this cryptic address, and then type a very specific command into the body of the email. No subject line, no hi, how are you, just the command. You really had to want it. And yet, look at this. Even with that clunky process, by the end of the first year, DEOSNEWS had 700 subscribers. That's 700 people who figured out the early internet just to be a part of this community. And what's even more impressive? Those subscribers came from 33 different countries. I'm talking Australia, Brazil, Japan, Poland, all over the map. This simple text-only newsletter was a truly global thing, and it proved just how hungry people were to connect. And the growth was just explosive. In a little over a year, the subscriber base literally doubled, and the network expanded to almost 50 countries. This wasn't some niche little experiment anymore. It was quickly becoming a massive, interconnected academic world. So you have these two projects, Eden and DEOS. One is formal and diplomatic, the other is grassroots and digital. But together, they were planting the seeds for the world of online learning that we all live in today. And for the people involved, the tech was really just the tool. As Paulsen says here, the real reward was that thrill of connection, of building this network of committed people that lasted for years and years. It was always about the community. And that legacy was powerful. I mean, this wasn't just a flash in the pan. The DEOS newsletter kept going for 14 years, and its discussion forum, this place for global debate, ran for 2 decades. It was a foundational piece of the digital world we know. So I guess that leaves us with a final thought. In 1991, with command line emails and screechy dial-up modems, these pioneers built vibrant, global communities completely from scratch. It really makes you wonder, with all the incredible, instant, powerful tools we have today, what crucial bridges are we failing to build? What connections are we missing out on?